The city of Seattle decided to target a business trying to stop shoplifters. No, it doesn't make sense, but it is what's trending.
What's trending? Crime.
In a move that I think perfectly epitomizes the city of Seattle's backward approach to crime, the city is targeting a Safeway store because it's trying to combat out-of-control shoplifting. This is the Crown Hill Safeway. It's in the Crown Hill neighborhood of Seattle. And it's taken what I think is a logical step to try to mitigate the threats. They've got 2 entry exits, right? 2 ways to get in and out. They closed one of them. They're not the only business to do that. There are plenty, for example, drugstores that will do that. Why do they do that? By forcing people into or out of one particular entrance or exit, it's easier for the staff to monitor the shoplifters. In many cases, if you've got a staff member right by the product, somewhat less likely to be stolen, at least in the context of having, let's say, an entrance exit at the other side of the business, and you don't have any staff members there to look it over. So it's really easy to steal. This makes sense. This makes sense. But instead of saying, oh, this is a good idea, Safeway from Crown Hill, what did the city of Seattle do? Instead, they said, whoa. We're slapping you with a notice of violation because your agreement says you're going to have both of them open. That's what the city is doing. That is what the city is doing. And oftentimes they come up with ideas like, well, this is really about safety. People need to be, if the big one hits. We just had a 3.9 in Port Angeles. What if that were to happen in the Seattle neighborhood of Crown Hill? People are going to have to escape, and you're only going to let them escape one. That's wrong. Now, Al Rosenthal, who owns the Safeway parking lot, spoke to Como TV to say, no.
They just want one door open so they can keep a little bit better eye on the shoplifting. It's usable as an emergency exit, so it's not a fire problem.
Perfectly stated. We have been ranked number 1 in the country for retail theft. 3,500 plus cases per 100,000 businesses. And it's not about a Snickers going missing, right? Not about someone going in and stealing a Snickers. We're dealing with organized crime rings that have decimated local businesses. We're talking about homeless drug addicts who are stealing whatever it is they can so they can sell it on the black market and then score whatever it is they're addicted to. And you've got the Safeway, like so many other businesses in and out of Seattle, that have been fighting an uphill battle against criminals who had become, especially for the last few years, incredibly brazen. Now, this is a business that has implemented security measures like moving high-value items to a more centralized location, putting some of the stuff behind lock and key. Now, why does the city of Seattle think that a business might do that? Because they're paranoid? No. It's because they're just trying to survive as a store. And they're doing that in a city that has all but given up on law and order. And yet that's still not good enough for Seattle's Department of Construction and Inspections. And as Rosenthal points out, the onus should be on the city, not Safeway in this case.
What they should do is tell the city, you fix the shoplifting problem and we'll open both doors.
100%. Instead of going after the reason why they have to close one of the doors, they just say, no, don't do it. Suffer the consequences of having both of them open to the point where you might not even survive as a business. And you know what happens when a grocery store in a neighborhood that is primarily black happens? You know what happens when that grocery store closes? You know what the leftist activists scream about? Food deserts. We have too many food deserts. Where are they in this black neighborhood going to get healthy food? Well, why aren't you helping the business stay afloat instead of going after them? And customers totally get it.
I think the city's wrong. I think it should be closed so that they don't have all the shoplifters.
I have seen people just blatantly carry stuff out.
Yeah, because you live in Seattle. You live in Seattle. Now, without a security measure like this in place, this Safeway has primarily two options. Number one, you can close the store entirely. They don't want to do that. Or option number two, raise prices to offset the losses, which is not fair to the customers.
People are stealing things, and they're stealing stuff that's not cheap, and so the store's got to pay for it, so they raise their prices.
When something like this happens, when you get a story like this, the city sends a message to criminals. And that message is that they care more about keeping both doors open for some minor convenience than they do about stopping folks from stealing. This is an open invitation for thieves to keep committing these crimes. And the irony is that by closing one entrance, Safeway is actually making the store safer for their customers. One of the customers that Como spoke to said, if shoplifters aren't going in there, it protects the customers too. She's, of course, absolutely right. But they're doing this for safety or something. What's particularly galling is that no one seems to see the irony of this from the city, right? They don't seem to understand that this is just a bad look because they don't care. They don't care it's a bad look. And I'm sure you'll have the activists out there on the left say, well, it's Safeway. They're a big company. These people are just stealing because they want to eat. Yeah, they're stealing a six-pack of beer because they want to eat. They're stealing all those items from the drugstore aisle. They're stealing a bunch of hair dye and laundry detergent to eat it. Not because they can sell that easily and make some cash off of it.
This reminds me of a similar story out of California where I guess they're trying to ban private firefighters because Rick Caruso, who ran for mayor, I believe, of LA, he saved his house because he had firefighters. Instead of trying to elevate everybody and just,
how dare he
control firefighters, they're just going to ban private firefighters.
That is equity. Everyone has to suffer. We can't lift everyone up. We have to bring everyone down. Right? Isn't that essentially what the equity movement has been about? We're getting rid of AP courses because we can't allow some kids to do better than the dumb ones or the unmotivated or the whatever.